Tommy Boyd is back with Children's ITV on Monday when Wowzer gains a twin, Beetlejuice gets a job as a court jester, and there's the first of a new series, Brill.
Intercom City! The interactive computer playset.
Police unit investigate incident at City Center.
Your vehicle activates realistic voice commands when it passes over the electronic scanner.
Fire alarm at City Center.
Need immediate assistance. Send helicopter.
Intercom City! New from Matchbox.
Hi, Pritt Stick here. I'm quick, clean, and I'll stick all sorts of things. I'm safe for kids, and I'm washable too.
Get the kids to enter the Pritt Christmas card competition.
Oh, go on.
Get up, get up, get up!
To Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, put them in the toaster.
They pop out hot.
Revolutionize your breakfast.
Kellogg's Pop-Tarts.
4 great flavors and they're waiting for you. Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, so hot they're cool.
Where's the ring? Here's the ring. Ring pop.
You can wear a ring around your finger. Ring pop.
I love the way a ring looks. I love the way my ring tastes. Ring pop.
It's a juicy jewel flavor. Ring
Will you
pop.
wear my ring? Ring pop.
Ring pop. It's a lollipop without a stick. A ring of flavor you can lick.
Ring Pops from the Wacky Workshop.
Ring pop.
If you appreciate a nutty flavour, crack open a Viennetta Praline. Wall's Viennetta. One slice is never enough.
Now for the Super Nintendo. Set your sights on the Nintendo Scope. It's the ultimate in ballistic excitement. Remote powered and laser accurate. Precise to a single television pixel. It's got 6 great games that will blast you into the Super Nintendo like never before. Hit the target with a Super Nintendo Action Pack, including console, scope, and 6 games.
A childhood friendship, a lifetime of happiness and heartbreak. Barbara Hershey and Bette Midler star in Beaches. The Thames premiere, coming soon.
Well, it's 5:15 on Friday afternoon, the end of our week here on Thames Television. We're back on Monday morning at 9:25. In the meantime, enjoy the company of London Weekend Television.
A very good evening to you and welcome. This is London Weekend Television, part of the ITV network. Looking ahead, in 45 minutes we'll be keeping our regular Friday date with the residents of Summer Bay. And we start the weekend with LWT News.
London's high-tech policing, but is there a way to beat the speed trap?
And on the old-fashioned beat, the sheriff of the subways.
Good evening. Also tonight on LWT News.
Proof that people really will do anything for money. We go behind the scenes of the capital's latest crazy game.
But first, the dream of owning their own home is turning into a growing nightmare for many former London council tenants.
New evidence today reveals that of the 70,000 Londoners who bought what they thought were bargains, thousands are trapped under economic house arrest.
RENE TURNHAM believed that buying a high-rise council flat meant security and a home for life. Like thousands of tenants across London, she exercised her right to buy, but it guaranteed her a mountain of debt. She now owes Hammersmith Council £7,000.
I don't think we would ever have bought if we had known a big major job like this was going to be done. We wouldn't have had the money to pay for it.
The problem is not the flat, but the block she lives in. It needs new windows, plus roof and balcony repairs. Owners like RENE have to pay that bill. In Walthamstow, Albert and Sheila Hawkins have lost 4 buyers because they too have a repair bill of £5,500 on a former council property.
It was presented to us as something like a dream come true, something to leave to your children, in fact. But the truth of it is that all you would leave your children is a legacy of debt.
And even if they could be sold, it seems building societies too are unwilling to lend on such property. Tonight at 10:40, LWT's The London programme tells the full story of how for so many The dream of home ownership died within the capital's crumbling high-rise blocks.
A look at other news now. A road accident closed one of the busiest routes into the capital during the rush hour this morning. 3 people were trapped inside their car when it collided with a crash barrier on the Bow flyover. Emergency crews spent over an hour cutting 2 of them from the wreckage. They were taken to hospital with serious injuries.
Well, last year, more than 41,000 people were killed or injured on the capital's roads, and many of the accidents were caused by careless driving.
Special spy cameras were launched in London recently to catch out bad drivers. But next week, one man is to publish a map showing exactly where those cameras are. Paul Larsman is out in the rush hour traffic now. Paul, can you tell us some more about this map?
Anna Maria, this is what it's all about. It's called the London Speed Trap Map, and it's very candid about what it's trying to do. It says it's the insider's guide to speed traps and red light cameras throughout London. Of course, the question is it going to slow drivers down or speed them up?
Aren't you stopping police efforts to catch speeding motorists?
Well, I don't think the police really want to catch people speeding. I think they want to stop people causing accidents at black spots across the capital. And by giving people the knowledge of where these cameras are, which are sited on black spots in London, they will stop speeding, stop the accidents, and everybody will have a better life.
The trap map shows 125 London locations where police cameras either exist or are planned. It includes Pelican crossings and red light cameras. They're activated by pressure points in the road if motorists jump the lights. And speed traps like this one on Twickenham Bridge. The registration numbers of cars travelling above a certain speed are photographed, and motorists sent the result, a fine and penalty points for their licences.
She crossed over just as a car was coming towards her.
It took the death of 3-year-old Katie Little for speed humps to be installed in the road where she was hit by a car.
And just collided, and she was knocked out instantly. She broke her neck.
Katie's mother has strong reservations about how the trap map will work.
I think it would encourage drivers to go down what are commonly known as rat runs, rather than use major routes, which can only increase danger to pedestrians, especially in residential areas where there were children going to school at rush hour.
Paul, has there been any reaction from the police to this map?
There has indeed. It's a bit ambivalent, though. They're saying that if it slows drivers down, it's a good thing. If it means that they go elsewhere, where they know there aren't these speed trap cameras, it's a bad thing. Interestingly, there's been some very interesting and, you might say, optimistic commercial response. WH Smith and Dillon's are both eager to stock this map, and the publishers say they've had no less than 10,000 orders for this thing after only 10 days marketing. So it looks like it might be a Christmas stocking filler.
Bestseller, I think, Paul. Thanks very much.
Well, now from high-tech methods to some old-fashioned policing. In West London, a special new team is signalling the end of the road for muggers, as Kay Oliver now reports.
Gambit and Lady have a new route on their beat. In the fight against crime, they're part of a special patrol with a mission to clean up the subways around the notorious Westway.
In days gone by, the cavalry charged to the rescue, but in 1992 it's police forces that are giving muggers a run for their money.
Hammersmith Police have drafted in mounted officers to patrol the dark and threatening tunnels, which have become a virtual no-go area for pedestrians who'd rather dash across the motorway than brave the subways.
Sometimes it's not safe, you know, you hear people getting attacked in subways and things like that.
Do you feel safer knowing that there are police on horses patrolling these subways?
Yeah, I would.
Where the horses are, the muggers aren't, and they've moved on and they've been caught by the plainclothes patrols. We've had 3 arrests in the last week, so we're really quite pleased.
The horses, old-timers at football matches, are quite content fighting subterranean crime.
They have plenty of warning when they come down. They obviously see what they're going into. If they didn't want to go into it, you know, they wouldn't. They're quite happy to go through.
Tomorrow, Lady and Gambit have a day off from crime fighting. They'll be part of the escort at the Lord Mayor's show. Kay Oliver, LWT News, West London.
And final preparations were being made today to the dozens of floats taking part in the annual Lord Mayor's show. They'll be joined by 150 horses, several dogs, and even 22 donkeys. 250,000 people are expected to take to the capital's streets to watch the spectacle. Francis McWilliams, who became Lord Mayor in a secret ceremony this afternoon, says the show will be the best the city has seen.
Hopefully the sun will be shining, the streets will be warming up, and it'll be a clear, warm day.
The procession sets off from the Guildhall at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Well, that's one spectacle. Here's another, the entertainment news with Ken Andrew.
Hello and welcome. Ken Russell directs Gilbert and Sullivan. Sounds bizarre, but that's what's on offer here at the English National Opera tomorrow night. More on that later. We've also got the latest release from one of pop's perennial heartthrobs, and we reveal the link between Manure and Mavis from Coronation Street. Any idea, Mavis?
Well, I don't really know.
There is one man who'd make even Mavis go weak at the knees, Robert Palmer, singing songs of love.
Those fingers through my hair, that sly come hither stare, that strips my conscience bare, it's witchcraft.
His new album is a collection of classics with full orchestra.
And I've got no defense for it, the heat is too intense for it, what good would common sense for it do?
4 years in the making, the songs on Riding High range from Cole Porter to Fats Waller. We caught up with Robert Palmer rehearsing for 2 nights at the Royal Albert Hall next week.
Rather than put in an orchestrated ballad in the middle of some rock songs as like novelty, I wanted to make my first concept record and actually present a 50-minute piece that had a theme and created an atmosphere.
As ever, one of music's best-dressed men wears a mean set of threads for the album cover.
I'm known for dressing conservatively anyway. I thought I'd just change the colour of my jacket to give some indication that I was doing different kind of music.
He also conducts his own market research, as when he visited a friend at a block of flats in Kensington recently. From another flat came a familiar sound.
And I passed the door, and as I passed it, my album started up, the first song on the first side. And I just couldn't resist it. I just had to knock on the door. And this guy came to the door, an American, and said, yes, can I help you? And I said, well, that's my record. Do you like it? And they were obviously sitting down to dinner. I mean, they had this music on and the candles lit. And I'm sure he must have thought it was a hoax. And then his wife came out of the kitchen and said, yes, it's him, you know. And it was, I said, well, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Ladies, please note, applications for a personal appearance by Robert Palmer in your home should be addressed to his record company, EMI.
You have become a fixture, 'cause there's no nicer witch than you.
And now, from one man's interpretation of a classic to another. Princess Ida is a rarely performed Gilbert and Sullivan piece, but under Ken Russell's typically robust direction, this lampoon on the emancipation of women has been turned into a colourful spoof on the royal family. Set in the 21st century, Prince Charles is monarch living in Buckingham Palace, a Japanese-owned theme park. Fortunately for the purists, the music remains the same. It's not as shocking as some of Ken Russell's past work, so is he going soft?
If the piece required naked nuns and Gestapo, they'd certainly be there. It doesn't. It requires stuffed corgis, kids building blocks, you know, teacup rides in the grounds of Buckingham Palace, a man being stretched on a rack in the Tower of London.
So there is a bit of torture in there?
Yes, there's, well, inevitably, but that's in the original anyway, so we're just being true to that.
What do you think the royal family would make of this?
I think they'd think it was hilarious. I mean, it'd be a change them after all the bad publicity they're getting. I mean, it looks upon the royal family rather kindly light. You know, if they're still with us in the year 2002, they may well be rather as we portray them.
Doily cart it isn't, but there's never a dull moment with Ken Russell, and yes, it is safe enough to take the kids. Finally, the link between Manure and Mavis, actress Thelma Barlow, who's written a new book on her secret hobby, organic gardening.
I am an organic gardener and would never be anything else now.
because it's the safest and gentlest way of gardening. And I mean, the garden gives me so much back. I want to be as kind to it as I can be. And it's just a nice, harmonious way of doing it. I think Mavis would be a little bit particular about touching the old manure and so on. But no, I mean, I just love it because it's so different what I can do, you know. I mean, one has to go around looking reasonably respectable most of the time. And just to get into the old jeans and get up to your elbows in compost, it's a very, very nice difference.
I think I'll take my harmony at the Albert Hall, thank you.
And now our man with a hotline to the terraces, it's Matthew Lorenzo.
No mention of manure. Thank you very much. Millwall manager Mick McCarthy has something to celebrate ahead of Sunday's televised game against West Ham at the Den. McCarthy's impressive start to his first job in management has been rewarded with a 2-year extension to his contract. The London match starts at 2:30. And Robert Lee will make his Newcastle United comeback against his old club Charlton at Upton Park tomorrow. Lee has been out for 4 games with bruised kidneys. Ugh. Tomorrow's rugby union match between England and South Africa is the highlight of the sporting weekend in London, and they'll be singing the national anthem after all before that one. But last week's highlight was probably 2nd Division London Crusaders' win over 1st Division Wakefield in Rugby League's Regal Trophy. Early next month, the Crusaders face Lee in the competition, and hopes are high that this is just the beginning of Rugby League's resurgence down south. The towering stands of Twickenham give a cathedral-like dignity to the home of English rugby union. But barbed wire and oil cans lend a less than respectful aura to what at least one man hopes will one day become the home of English Rugby League.
Can't hear you, Richard. Can't hear you, Smithy.
It was at Crystal Palace's National Sports Centre last Sunday that Ross Strudwick's London Crusaders turned the world of rugby league on its head, beating clear favourites Wakefield Trinity 30-0 in the first round of the Regal Trophy. The win is just stage 1 in Strudwick's plan to break the North's stranglehold on rugby league and make London the game's home.
It's national in Australia, it's national in New Zealand, France and so forth, but here it's only played on the M62. And we're down here struggling, and I think we're starting to make inroads into them. So if we do that, why not take it all the way? To me, because of all the big corporate companies, all the TV stations, all the national newspapers, their head offices are all in London, so why not the head office of rugby league? But we are looking 5, 10, 15 years. Yes, when Wakefield come out, I thought, oh great, they're not going so well, we're a chance of beating them, but we get the experience. When Lee got pulled out, I thought, hello, I'm being blessed, the big fella's looking after me, because it's the same scenario. We've got a side that we can beat, first team experience, and we can go from there.
But running the only league club south of Sheffield can get to even the most optimistic Aussie.
It does get depressing sometimes, but once we do it, we can look back on this and we'll keep the photographs and we'll have it up on the new clubhouse wall. We'll do it, we'll be there.
Which is more than could be said for our cameraman, who spent time with the trainer after getting too close to the action. The Crusaders are at home on Sunday week. Go and see him at Crystal Palace. Anna Maria.
Finally from the news desk, David Harvey reports on the man who had everything briefly when it is Friday the 13th.
Whoa! The moment when 27-year-old Tony Wakefield was £5,000 better off after winning Capital Radio's Beat the Forfeit competition. But 10 minutes later, he'd lost the lot in the double or quit Mr. and Mrs. style quiz. Then fiancée Caroline, playing the game at home, was given a choice.
I'll tell you what, Caroline, you have the chance to decide whether or not he does the forfeit this morning. The forfeit this morning is wonderful.
To recover £1,000, she forced Tony to dance a routine with the Chippendales.
It's terrible. To be honest with you, I don't think he's very good at all. But he tried. He's a hero. He did try.
So you're going to join the Chippendales?
I don't think so. But to be fair, we didn't have no rehearsals. We just played.
And every day there's a new forfeit.
They're extremely unpleasant. One guy this week missed out on putting his hand in a bucket of piranhas. So, I mean, it's getting pretty serious.
Tony hasn't been the only loser this week. On Monday, one poor fellow had to sit in a bath of jellied eels. And the forfeits get worse next week. All I'll say is nudity and tarantulas. David Harvey, LWT News, Euston.
Not sure boxer shorts are ideal for dancing.
That's it, bye-bye.
Good evening. We've had a bright but crispy cold afternoon in most parts of the region today. And with the dry, clear weather tonight, temperatures will fall as low as -3 Celsius, 27 Fahrenheit, causing a sharp frost and even a few fog patches later on. Tomorrow will then start dry with quite a lot of sunshine and temperatures rising to around 7 Celsius by late morning with a light southeasterly wind. It'll stay dry throughout the afternoon with some sunshine, especially in eastern areas, but the west of the region will turn more cloudy. Temperatures peaking at around 8 Celsius, that's 46 Fahrenheit. And the outlook for Sunday, dull and wet for a while, but it will brighten up, especially in the west. Top temperature around 11 Celsius, 52 Fahrenheit. Join me for more weather news tonight at 10:35. Good evening.
At 6:30 this evening, there's another chance to follow the documentary series about life at Park High, a typical comprehensive facing the educational challenges and problems of the 90s. And coming up next, we join ITN for the early evening news after the break.